Alright, welcome One Piece and One Piece TCG fans. Also, if you're new to collecting, welcome as well. My name is Genji. I go by Genji Chronicles, and today I'm going to do my second volume for the Market Watch for the One Piece TCG. So this would be Volume 2 of 2024. In this episode, in this video, I'm going to go over Paramount War for the first quarter of 2024. If you saw my last video, I went over Romance Dawn for the first quarter of 2024. Kind of see where the cards are going, where the cards are currently at, and kind of see where we're hoping that they can go. As a new collector in this hobby, this is very interesting for me to kind of follow and a little bit more closely as far as like the pricing of the cards and the booster boxes, and also I like seeing the little minis, each little subset that each set comes out with. So thank you for joining me. If you're new to the channel, hope you enjoy the content. And if you came before, I appreciate you coming back. All right, so I want to always start off with a quick question, which will always be answered later down the road, of course. So for the first 3 months, so that's January, February, March, for the first 3 months, which card do you think was the most numbers sold? So quantity, how many cards had the most movement for the first quarter of Q1? And one thing that I do want to, with a caveat, we're not talking about commons, uncommons, or rares. We're only talking about, the super rares or above, which would be like alt art leader cards, alt art character cards, and obviously SP cards and the manga card. Alright, so a little quick background on this one. So this one, March 10th, 2023 came out. So it's been out for a little over a year. And if you don't recall, MSRP was about $4.19 a pack, about $100 a booster box, right? So kind of remember that. 121 card types, and you kind of go over the leaders. One thing I'll show you, kind of point out if you've collected the new sets. So the second set and the first set had 8 leaders, but they cut it down to 6. So that's one thing that you want to, if you're looking at the older sets, that if you like the leader cards, you get 2 extra. Super rares 10, so you always get 7 out of 10, and in this set, secret rares 2. One thing I always wish they put on there as well, but maybe it's the fun of opening the box and finding what cards you're gonna get, is that they don't show the number of alt art cards, or they don't even list the manga card. Okay, so as I stated, this came out on March 10th, 2023. Currently it's at about $3.95, so that's a 295% gain. It's been out, like I said, you've had it for about a little over a year, so annualized basis 236%. I just like to put that up there because it's an interesting stat. Sometimes I think it's a little wonky, but with a shorter period, but it's supposed to do a good comparison from one investment to another. Over time, excuse me, one investment to another over time, like on a yearly basis. Okay, so I always want to do a comparison of what some other sets in its comparable field are. So with this one, Lorcana just came out, so I kind of want to use that one. So release date December 1st, 2023. So this was what, 4 months ago. Now this one, I do want to have a caveat. It says $144 a booster box, but on release date, stores had it about $119. Online stores, and I'm sure if you went to the LGS, depending on the LGS that you went to, you could have got this from $119. But MSRP was $144. So if you went to like the Disney shop on the online store, it was $144. And I think that's what you were getting it at the, like, if you went to the amusement park, the Disneyland, and went to the Disney store there. And I think all the big spots like Best Buy, Amazon, Target, they all had it at $144. But like I said, most stores that I saw online had it for $119. Now as far as a comparison, it wouldn't be fair to compare it to like what we, $144 to what online stores have. So I kind of used what online stores are, the pricing they have, right? Because 144, you could still get it at 144 currently, so there's no movement. But let's just say you bought it at 119. It has crept up to 124.95. So, kind of like what I hear when I watch with Pokemon, most of the products you could get on from LGS and online stores and eBay at under MSRP, and then usually the price, or at least people are hoping that the price will rise into the MSRP and above. So if you're looking at Lorcana, this is $20 below MSRP, but so you may have time to buy it to get it, as it goes up in price. Maybe it'll go down, who knows. Okay, so another one that I want to do a quick comparison, but it's not fair, is Flesh and Blood Arcane Rising, the first edition, which is the second set of Flesh and Blood. That came out on March 27th, 2020. MSRP about $95.76, and currently it's at $1,400 to $1,500 a box, which is about $13.55 a gain. Excuse me, a 1,400% gain. I think, as I mentioned in the last video, so Flesh and Blood uses like a first edition. Whenever they release a set, they have like a limited print run for a first edition. So that set's designated, I guess, with special cards or something, a special stamp. Kind of like, I know One Piece does promo cards, pre-release cards, but that's for, like, I think you have to do events to get those. But for Flesh and Blood, when they release a product, at least from my understanding, they release this first edition, and then after that they'll do like an unlimited edition, which would be different than the first edition. One thing I like about One Piece is that they don't do that, because as far as, in my mind, as far as players go, I want players to have cards, right? I like to collect and see the cards, but I'm learning to play the game, but I want players to have the cards. With Flesh and Blood, in my mind, right, so if everybody's seeing that the first edition is different than everything else, they're just going to hoard this. I think the Unlimited came out a few months after that, so for a few months there's going to be limited cards out in play, because who's going to open the first edition? I wouldn't. Everyone sees the returns, so for future sets, everyone's going to get the first edition and hoard it, not open it, and then nobody's going to get cards. At least with One Piece, they do it in waves, right? So everyone kind of knows that, all right, they're going to release the set, and then if it sells out, there's going to be like second and third waves to try to get it. So at least for people who buy the set for the first wave, they can open the cards, and they could play with the cards, and everyone can see the cards, and then if they want to resell it, they can, at least individual cards and singles. So at least the play component is still there. So that's my thoughts on that, but I'm new to TCG, so I may be wrong. Okay, so let's kind of go over back to Paramount War. So let's kind of go over, like I said, I like to go over the subsets of each of the top cards for each set. So the alt art leaders are always the top set of each group that everyone wants to collect. Highly desirable. The artwork is usually pretty cool and pretty nice. So with One Piece, as you know, they use the manga heads, as they called it. So it's like a close-up of the manga style artwork. And let's go back here. So there's 8 of them. So it's a pretty easy set to collect since there's only 8 cards. Okay, so let's kind of go over each individual card and kind of see their performance over the first 3 months. And I'm hoping to do this every quarter so that we can kind of track how these cards are doing. Alright, so let's start with the top card here, and then it goes by price, how I kind of went over it. So the first one is the Edward Newgate. Had about 100 in Q1 sales. So again, February to March. The January 1st sale, or close to it, was $159, and then current price is $118. Still a healthy transaction, so dollars transacted. That's and so what I used on this one is the average price of $159 and $118 multiplied by 100. I know that's not accurate, but at least it gives us a rough estimate of how many dollars are being transacted for each card. So for this one, $13,850. So 100 sales for 3 months. And we'll track this to see if that's a good number or not, because I'm not sure. Other caveat, I'm only using TCG Player. I don't have time to go add up all the different sources like eBay, Mercari, or whatever that sells these cards, and then aggregate them all. So I just use TCG Player. It's a good sample size of what, pretty much these cards are doing anyways. Alright, so the next one is the Sanji. So Sanji's, let's go back to Newgate. So Newgate went down about $41, so that's 25% rate of return. So that's, not looking too good, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Alright, the next card, obviously the Sanji with 84 sales. Started at $70 around January 1st, currently at $76. So, price drastically reduced from that top card down to the second one. So dollar amount is going to be obviously affected. So about 6,000 in transactions. Still got a return of 8%, over 8%, so it's not too bad. All right, so next one is the Smoker Alt Art Leader. I like this card. I like how it looks. I know from the gameplay, it wasn't very playable. After all these new leaders came out, it wasn't really winning many formats. But 96 sales, so that's pretty healthy. $89 started at, $72 currently. 7,000 in transactions, so 19%. Down from when you bought it if you bought it on January. All right, the next one is the Monkey D. Garp. Still pretty healthy sales at 75. Started at $75. Currently at 65. 5,000, a little over 5,000 in transactions, so a drop of about 13%. So not a good trend here so far, with 3 of the 4 Alt Art leaders going down in value from January 1st. All right, the next one is the Kinemon. All right, 74 sales, 48 it started at, $50 currently, a little close to 10,000 in transactions. So you actually had a gain, which is good. 4% up, $2. The next one we go to the Magellan. 88 sales, $70 it started at, down to 49, right? Drop of $21, drop of 30% on your investment. About 5,000 in transactions, a little over 5,200. The next one is the Emporio Ivankov. So 80 sales, $54 in where it started at, 49 currently. So about 4,000 in transactions, so drop about 9%. And then finally we got the Zephyr. So this one has pretty healthy sales, right? 118. January 1st was 44. Current price is at 41. A little over 5,000 in transactions. So again, 3 out of the 4 didn't, dropped in value. Only one card, the Kinemon, and it was a small, small gain. But I will say that the Zephyr did hold its value pretty well, and the Ivankov didn't drop too bad. And if we look at the last group here, it's not as bad as the first group. Okay, so real quick with the alt art, if you wanted an alt art collection, 8 cards. Currently, it's at, if you get them all, $520 roughly. I know it started at $609. That's a reduction about an average about 14%. For the first quarter, $89 if you had all those cards in the beginning. Only 2 of the 8 were positive. However, I always ask now, do you think this is a good buying opportunity, right? $520 bucks for the set, or it started at $609. With Paramount War, do you think this set has the opportunity to go up in value? I know that they have announced reprints with this special treasure booster, or they've done reprints of the first, second, third, and fourth set, and you're going to get a mix of packs in this treasure booster. So obviously that's going to affect singles and should affect the price of the box once that thing comes out. I'm excited for it. I'm a collector still, but I am excited for it. I didn't get much Romance Dawn, so And I know a lot of people were late to the game, so I'm not too upset that those people will have an opportunity to get these cards. Even though I'm a collector and I have some of these, I have a couple of these booster boxes and cards, I'm okay with other people sharing my joy because I love One Piece. Okay, the next group is the SP and alt art character cards. Also the manga card, I should have put that up there, but the manga cards. So in this one, there's about 21 total cards. So it's a little bit of more cards to collect, but just look at the artwork on these. So if you have a chance to look at like the commons, uncommons, and then you look at the artwork on those versus these are hands down way better than the commons and uncommons. So I think they're worth grabbing, especially when I open up a booster box. I love seeing some of these cards. One, not so much, but we'll get into that one. All right, so obviously we want to start with the chase card, the big hitter, right? This one is the manga ace. So this one, what is it? They have one in every, I don't remember the distribution. I think it's one out of every 4 cases and 5. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but so this is a chase card. This is the one that people want to get. So 13 sales, 12,000, close to 13,000 when it started at January 1st. But look at that drop, 941, right? Currently, so 90,545 in transactions, obviously due to the price reduction of 27%. But do you think this is a good buy? Like I said, I don't think these cards are going to go to 0. So with all these new players coming in, it might be a buying opportunity. Who knows? All right, so the next one is the Borsalino. Was the alt art? 170 sales, 129 is started. Oh man, but look at that, it dropped down to $50. So about 19,465 in transactions, which is pretty healthy, as you'll see, but 61% reduction in your investment. So I know that hurts if you had got it in January. Also, I know with the game changing and the meta changing, it does affect the price of these cards, right? When they're not looked at as very good. So I have no idea. Maybe that affected the value of these cards. I have no idea. Okay, and that's why I'm doing this, because I like to learn. All right, so the next one is the Kuzan alt art. Now this should be called the Kuzan set because I think there's 3 Kuzans in here. But Kuzan 159, or is this SP? I'm not sure. 159, January 1st, roughly around $90. Currently at 67, 9,897 in transactions. So 25% drop in your return, $23 on your investment. All right, the next one, Porkis Ace, the alt art. So 158, and then we're looking at 48 it started, but look at this one. So it jumped up to $70, about 9,000, a little over 9,000 transactions. So you did get a healthy 45%. So if you're, if you had this card in your possession, you're definitely, happy. Okay, so this, I'm going to be self-admitted. I mean, you can see the background. This is my favorite card, the alt art Nami. I actually pulled this card, so I'm super happy about that. But 194 sales, $44 to start at, $50 currently, 9,000 in transactions. So it's still gained. It's about 13%. This is one of those cards, like I said, I have it, and I have zero inkling of selling it. I think I'm just going to keep it pretty much forever. So I like the look of the card. I like the art style, because I know with Nami there's a whole bunch of different art. I mean, with all the characters, they have a bunch of different art styles, but I like this this look with the hat and everything. The pirate hat, captain hat. All right, so we got I think this is the SP Newgate. Right, it's 185 in sales, $63 to start at, dropped down to 44, so 19,000 in transactions. So drop of 30%, loss of about $19 if you had it on January 1st. Okay, so the next one, Monkey D. Luffy, 154 in sales, currently at or excuse me, start at 49, down to 38, about 6,600 in sales. So drop down to 22%, 11% loss on your investment. Now the next one, again, the Kuzan, I think this is like the secret rare alt art. So 185 in sales, so $54 it started at. Currently it's about 40, so $14 loss, 25%. So you can see in these four, their prices are close together at least, so that they all dropped except for the Nami, like roughly the same amount. Is that a trend? Is that a group trend, right? So that's something that I want to look at further. All right. The next one is the Marco, right? 200 in sales. So that's one thing I do like, is I do like seeing these sales. I don't know what they mean comparatively speaking, to be honest, but at least it's not like 20 or 10 or something like that. Minus the manga, because I know that's a higher value card. So $27 it started at, 35 it's currently, and so that's a $6,200 in transactions. That's 29% gain, right? $8 up. Again, is that because of the meta, right? That's a lot of sales as well. All right, the next one is the Buggy. Buggy's at 123 sales. Started at 31, dropped down to 25, so roughly about 3,400 in transactions. So just like the last group, right, 19% down. All right, the next one is the Sakazuki alt art, 196 in sales, so close to 200, $21, 21. I think I picked the wrong side, but it should have been 0, obviously. So 4,800 in sales. So obviously it's 0% gain and 0% rate of return. All right, the next one is 156. Excuse me, the Uta alt art. So I do have this card. I like this card, so I'm keeping this one as well. I pulled it in my first Romance Dawn. Excuse me, first Paramount War opening. Actually, with my first opening period. So 156 sales, $27. It started at down to 22, but a little over 3,800. Now the reason why I like this card, obviously I have an infinity to it, because like I said, it was one of my first pulls and my first hit. In the anime, I'm not even at Uta. I've seen one episode where she's in, where they throw her in the land of Wano for, like, they have an episode, right, the like breaks up the land of Wano with this episode where Luffy and Uta are kids, and I hadn't seen her since because I'm not caught up with the dubbed version. Okay, it's the next one, the Monkey D. Luffy alt art, 129 sales, start at 38, drop down to 20. Ouch. So 3,700 in sales, so 47% loss, about $18. So, you've seen a couple of these in Paramount War have close to 50% drops, which we'll talk about soon. So Kazuki Odin alt art, the next one, 170 in sales, $22 it started at, down to 20, so 3,400 in transactions. So not too bad, only $2 drop, which is 9% off of 22. All right, the next one is the Magellan alt art. So I had this card when I pulled it. It was about $36. Like I said, I pulled it back in, was it December of I can't remember, before January 1st, I think, or maybe it was after January 1st. I'm not sure, but it was about 36 when I looked it up. But it's currently at 17 and about 4,000 in transactions. So drop about $13 if you had it on January 1st. A little over 40% drop. All right, the next one is the secret rare Kuzan. So this one, 600 in sales, $25 it started at, $16 currently, a little over 12,000 in transactions. I mean, that's triple the amount of sales as the other, pretty much the whole group. I know we're getting to lower tier cards, as far as like the dollar amount, but that's still pretty surprising that there's that many sales, but the card is still was trending downwards. Maybe people are thinking this one has a high chance of going up, and again, I got to look at the cards as well to see if the playability is different or affects the price. All right, so the next one is the little Sadi, $124. Excuse me, 124 in sales. Started at 31, currently at 30. So not a big change. Dropped down about 3%, $1. So not too bad if you had this card. The next one is the Monkey D. Garp, 165 in sales. Started at 21, dropped down at 13. A little over 2,800 in transactions. So 8%, $8 loss, 38% on the drop and return. And then the next one is the Impario Ivankov, 168 in sales. Started at 20, down to 12. Another big dropper, 40%. 40% on the return. Okay, so we have two cards. The Uta and the Mass Deuce. The secret rare Uta, which when you watch back box openings, everyone pulls this card. It's a little bit more common. So that one doesn't make the chart for $10 and above. So I won't do any analysis on that. The Mass Deuce is at $4. So this is obviously the worst alt art card you get in the box. The look of disappointment on people's box opening YouTube channels, including mine, is hilarious, because this is, I think the card's cool looking, but it's $4. So if you get this card, you're a sad box opener. Okay, so kind of let's take a look at the collection as itself. So currently, if you wanted the whole collection's $5.99 without the manga. It said law, but it's not the manga law. It's the manga Ace. It started at $7.79, so you're getting a reduction of 23%, investment loss of $180 if you. All right, so the next group is the super rare group. So this is another collection that I think if you're new to One Piece, the TCG is something you might want to consider collecting as well, in my opinion, just for having cards to collect. Okay, not for value or anything like that. Even though some of these cards are valuable. The one reason I say that is because these super rares there's only 10 of them, and for each booster box that you open, you're going to get 7 of 10. And so a lot of people who open booster boxes, they're going to get rid of these cards, even then they're a little bit more desirable than like the commons and uncommons. And in my opinion, a lot of the cards do have fantastic artwork. And then for this set in particular, and for a couple of, for all sets actually, there's a couple of super rares that will be playable, and people are going to want play sets. So play sets I think are 4 or more. So this set, the very first, is like I said, this box was the first box I ever opened, and so I like having, looking at these cards. All right, and again, you get 7 of 10, so you have automatically, if you get a booster box, you're going to get 7 out of 10. Okay, so the first one, and this is a card that if you buy a booster box of Paramount War, you're going to want to get this card, is the Borsalino. 1,381 in sales. It started at 51, currently it's at 47, 68,000 in transactions. I heard that this card is very playable, that's why obviously it affects the price, but yeah, it's $50, $47. Even though in this one, if you got on January 1st, you have a slight loss, $5, 9%, but it still is retaining its value, and it's still a pretty good, as far as value goes, super rare to get. Like the alt arts and the other cards, the pull rates on those are way different. On this one, you're guaranteed to get a certain amount in each box, but with super rares, you're guaranteed 7 to 10. The next one is the Nami, healthy 1,512 cells, January 1st at $15, currently at 19, so whew, and one card that gained, right? So $4 up, 26%, 24,000 in transactions. The next one is the Kuzan, 1,300 in sales, $20 to start at, $18 is down, so it's only $2 down, but 10% down. Still 26,000 in transactions, so it looks pretty healthy on that end. The next one is the Newgate, 1,371 in sales, $19 it started at, currently at $16, and about 23,900, close to 24,000 in transactions. So again, small loss, but because the loss is based on percentage, 1960 is 15%. All right, and then the next one is the Ace, Porcus the Ace, 1,110 sales, started at $9, went up to $13, so actually a gainer. 12,000 in transactions, so start at $4, gain of $4, about a 44% in return. Okay, so that's, you notice there's only 5, because unfortunately 5 cards did not make the list. So we got the Sakazuki, the Magellan, the Odin, the Luffy, and the Ivankov. So about $3, $2, and $1 for those. So like I said, if you pull these, you're not too happy, right? But you're going to get probably 3 of them at minimum, 2 of them at a minimum. But still, as far as collectability goes, I still think, as a subset, they're not too bad to have. So if you got the whole collection, start on January 1st, about $123 to buy it today. And if you start on January 1st, about $124, so you lost $1, down less than 1%. Quick facts: 5 of 10 are over $10. So that's interesting, right? I think in the Paramount War there's only 3 of 10 that were over $10. This one has 5 of 10. All right, let's take a quick look at the card comparison, because like I said, I saw a lot of cards drop down in value, which was kind of discouraging for me to see. However, one thing I do want to point out, so if you look at the Nami, right, so it started at 220 maybe, then it dropped down to maybe 160, looks like, then went back up a little bit, then dropped back down, and then went back up. And then if currently, so in the January price, pre-January, right, it's about 400 down to 300. So I just want people to remember it's all about perspective. I'm just doing the last 3 months, because if you bought this card at 200, even though it's at 300 currently, you're happy. But if you bought it at 400 and you drop down to 300, you're not that happy, right? So and then if you bought it at 200 and you dropped down at 170, you weren't happy. But had you bought it and it's currently at 300, still happy. So this one I want people to kind of look at is and again, I know this is a Charizard of the Lorcana, but I'm familiar with this card because I actually bought this card, and I'll tell you a quick story. So I bought this card at about, it was rising in price, so I was like, ooh, I didn't want to miss it, but I got FOMO'd. So I bought it I was trying to buy it at 600, couldn't do it because it was selling out. Like every time I tried to buy it around 600, sold out, 650, sold out. So then I finally got a card at about 720 with taxes and shipping. It was 780. I remember the 780. Okay, so super happy, and then it went up to like 800 again, which I was like, all right, cool. But then when the reprint got announced and got shipped in hundreds of boxes, thousands, I say, boxes got shipped to all these big box stores, LGSs. I started going to the stores and seeing first chapter everywhere. My card dropped down to, no joke, a little over $400, and I just threw the card in a drawer and didn't want to look at it again because I lost 300. So I just forgot about it. But then look at the card recently. It's, over 1,200. So that's my question that I have for people who are more advanced in collecting or have more background or knowledge. Do you think this set is going to go up? Is it a down time, good time to pick up these cards? Because, it's just a downtrend and then it's going to potentially shoot up? Or are these cards, just because of playability, may not, these are the values, they're not going to probably go up anymore? So I do have that question. Okay, so one last group that I didn't want to touch upon, that if you do want to be a collector of Paramount War, is the box toppers. So with each box, Paramount War box, you do get a box topper. It's one card of 6, I believe. Yep, 6 cards. They're just like a close-up of either a common card, uncommon card. That's pretty much it. And it's a little bit more shiny, I think. So their value's not too bad. So if you did want to collect a set of box toppers, $17.61 to get the whole thing. So again, my question is, why aren't more people collecting these? Because there's only one box topper. You get one of 6 in each booster box. So, you know, I like the Bull Hancock. I might pick up, after doing that, I said I might pick up that Bull Hancock because one of 6, right? So, alright, so one thing that I always like to do is kind of go over the top, you know, this is for fun, the top 5 for Paramount War, you know, top 5 cards of a certain category. So let's go over the top 5 sold by numbers. So quantity, January through March, how many moved for the first quarter of 2024. Alright, with number 5, coming in at number 5 with 1,110 is the Porcus the Ace. Number 4 with 1,371 sales is the Edward Newgate. Oh, both of those are super rares, so super rares. And the number 3 is the 1,372, so just beat out the Newgate, which I thought was funny, was the Kuzan super rare. Number 2 is the super rare Borsellino with 1,381. And then the number 1 card that moved was the super rare Nami, so 1,512. So I thought this was interesting because I know I did this with Romance Dawn, and not all the cards were super rares. But this one, you know, obviously because they're cheaper cards, all the cards were super rares. And obviously I like Nami. Alright, the next one is the top 5 sold by dollar transacted. So these are, you know, amount moved dollar wise. So obviously the price of the card affects it, and then the amount. So number 5 with 23,992, the super rare Newgate. Number 4 with 24,948 is that super rare Nami. The number 3 card that moved was the with 26,068 is the super rare Kuzan. Then number 2 was 68,000. That's like triple the rest, right? 68,359 is the Borsellino super rare. And then the number 1, I mean, obviously it's because of the price, with 90,545 in transactions, is the manga Porcus the Ace. Alright, so this is the most important one that people like. Top 5 sold by percentage increase, right? Because obviously you want cards to increase in value. Obviously, the smaller the price, you know, a smaller increase would be a higher percentage than a higher price with the, you know, a same set of increase. You know what I mean? So the price does affect it. You know what I'm saying when we look at the percentage increase. Okay, so number 5. With a 29.63% increase was the Alt Art Marco. So that's, like I said, it's only $8 game, but 29%. Number 4 with a healthy 26.67% gain. So actually this should be number 5. With $4 gain is the Nami. So I think I was biased in my charting there. Number 3 with a 33.33% gain. Again, it's only $7 gain, is the Alt Art Sakazuki. The number 2 with 44.44%. Again, $4, only a $4 increase, but that's 44%, is that super rare Porcus the Ace. And then the number 1 card, obviously, that gained, and only gained $22, is the Alt Art Porcus the Ace, not the manga, but the Alt Art Porcus the Ace, with 45%. However, that's $22 up, so that's pretty good, I think. So what do you guys think of these cards, right? So these are pretty good cards to have if you had them on January 1st. Alright, so kind of like to just do for fun, like a box value estimate for Paramount War. Just kind of, you know, see what you get versus what the box is. So kind of same format as before. Each box gets about 7 super rares. You're going to get about 2, maybe 3 hits. Typically, if you get a 3-box hit, it's going to be a secret rare, which is, as you saw, the secret rare in this set is the Uta, which is not that valuable, and then the Kuzan, which is a little bit more valuable. Current booster box is currently at about $3.95, as we saw, which is crazy to me. However, like I said, you gotta get that. You gotta get the Porcelino. So you get about $86 in value on average from the super rares. You're gonna get on average about. So here's how it calculated. So the average amount of the alt arts and the SPs were about $39.96 divided by 28. We're not counting the and also the alt art leaders. We're not counting the manga ace, because that's, like I said, that's like a super chase card with 1 out of 4. The other ones you're probably going to get 1 or 2. So times that by 2, you get $79.92. So total bulk without the manga and without the bulk, you should be getting on average about $166 in value. So the fund cost, which is, you know, $395 minus $166, is about $228. So that's the value of the bulk, right? Obviously, if you get the manga, you're in the money as well. So as a comparison, Romance Dawn's fund cost is a little bit higher at $252. So in this one, right? So this one has a little bit more of a chance to make your money back as far as, you know, the fund cost. I will say this, as you saw, most of the cards have dropped down. So if you think that your cards have an opportunity to go up and make up that 228 gap, might be a good time to invest. So something to think about as far as food for thought. And then also, I like to always ask about the single prices, because that was pretty interesting to see. Alarming, I would say, but interesting to see all those cards going down in value since January 1st. It will be interesting in the next 3 months to see where they're at, if they're going to continue to trend downwards or maybe change and pivot and go upwards. I know with like Pokemon, when sets move out, rotate out, right, those cards can't be used again. So, and then those cards' values kind of maintain or go up. So maybe that happens here. All right, so let's kind of take a look at a comparison, since we have 2 sets that I've viewed since January 1st. So this is side by side, apples to apples. So top 5 sold for Q1, just for fun, right? Both super rares, $15.75 for Eustace, Captain Kidd, and Romance Dawn. Nami, $1,512. Top 5 sold by dollar transaction. So Eustace, Captain Kidd, super rare, still won that one with $46,675. That's because with the Shanks, you know, it's a pretty high value card, so a lot less move. But in this one, right, the Portier is a little bit more affordable, or I should say, it's lower in dollar amount than the Shanks, that people could potentially afford it more. So $90,545. All right, top 5 sold by percentage increase. The King, 121%, $17 increase. Here, the top card was that alt art Ace with only 45%. So again, I always think that King's an anomaly, but it did win the percentage increase title. All right, as far as sealed booster box, this is cool. Both went up. Romance Dawn has been out for 3 months longer than Paramount War, but it has 100% more in rate of return, obviously because it's a first set, so that I'm sure affects the value as well. But if you have a sealed booster box of these, they're both pretty good and, held their value, increased their value pretty well and healthy, in my opinion. I know the next 2 sets are not as desirable with Pillars of Strength and Kingdoms of Intrigue, so we'll kind of see what happens with those. Because I know the rate of return for January now is not going to be like this. Alright, so thank you for watching, and I appreciate that. For the next episode, I'm getting ready to do Pillars of Strength. So I'm kind of running the numbers and getting all the cards ready to kind of look at. So I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know this is kind of a longer video to kind of go over each set and each card. Hope you enjoyed it. Please, leave a comment below, like and subscribe. It will keep me motivated to continue doing these. My last video hit over 450, which was the most views, and I was averaging like 50, so 20 I should say, per video. So that kind of keeps me going, and it takes a lot of time to do these, so I want to be encouraged to continue to do these. Anyways, I appreciate your time, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Also, check out my website at MoreThanOnePieceTCG.com. I have a shop there as well, where I do sell, some TCG products and some music. So you might want to check that out, or you can check that out if you can. Well, thanks for taking the time, and you have a great day.